everyone, I am Erika of beadingschool.com and you are watching Coffee Time with Erika. Today I would like to show you some footage, very beautiful professional videos from the Crystal Valley and tell you what we learned about how our beautiful glass beads are made. But before I would start showing you these amazing videos, which I dare to say are the first professional ones that you can see in the beading world about the bead making process, before I would start with that, please let me know if you can hear me, if you can see me. You can watch today's video from the Beading School Facebook page, from my own account, and also from the Beading School YouTube channel. I see Sherry saying hi. Hi, Erika and friends. Hi, Sherry. And Lita says, hello, Erika and everyone. So happy to see your smile. Thank you, dear Lita. And it's so nice to be here again with you ladies. Ingrid is here and Katja is also here. So lovely beaders. Last year in May, we visited the Crystal Valley in the Czech Republic with my colleague and friend Andrea. And we visited several of our most important partners and also tried to discover as many new ones as possible. And we were accompanied by Mona and Attila, who are our professional photo and videographers. You know their work very well from the beautiful pictures and videos that we keep posting. And imagine this talent that they have, we brought it to the Crystal Valley to show you how beads are made. And I will show you lots and lots of videos today, also with lots of knowledge that we gathered. So stay tuned, because today your knowledge about bead making will expand beyond imagination. And in the meantime, I also see Helena, and she says, hello, all beading friends from around the world. Bernadette. Beatrix says, Erika, are you okay after Spain? Dear Beatrix, I'm still here until Sunday. I will have the surgery on Thursday and then a few days to recover. Now I have my date to have the surgery. So I will stay here until Sunday, and next week we will see each other from Amsterdam again. Helena says sound and picture is very good on Facebook. I'm glad to hear that. And Kata is also checking in. She says, hello, everyone. For today, I also have two big surprises for you. One of them is a big video that we haven't shown before. So some of the videos that you will see today from the Crystal Valley, I have shown them before. They are like little snippets, but in the background, actually, we were working on a big one that shows you and tells you a lot more about bead making. So I have that ready for you today. And I might also have a gift tutorial. As ladies, we would like to say thank you to you for your enthusiasm about the Fairy Forest Beading School Academy Team Box. And I will tell you more about that gift and surprise a little bit later. Now a bit of Fairy Forest to get you into the mood, and then I continue with the glass beads. In the meantime, also Antoinette, Linda, Aniko, and Sparrow checked in. And dear ladies, I always keep repeating that the history of glass bead making goes back a long, long time. And it does have an impact when you hear these words or when you read stories about it. However, when we were in the Crystal Valley with Andrea, then we get to hold in our hands something that was literally the proof of how long does this go back. It showed only a bit of that tradition. However, already those 100 years, that was amazing to see. And we made a little video about that. And to get you into the mood before I would bring you all the knowledge, I would like to show you this video and 100 years old object very much connected to bead making that we could hold in our hands. So I was talking about the book that you saw, and that book was actually a sample book for different kinds of colors, full of all kinds of turquoise and other tones. And in the meantime, you see Zuzi's Silvara bracelet on the screen next to me, and it might be connected to the surprise that I have mentioned you before. And now I have another video for you to get you into the mood. And then finally, I will show you the big one that I was talking about. So today it will be like more videos and less talking, but of course there is also space for you to ask all kinds of questions at the end. So we will also have a part for that, don't worry. In the meantime, I'm showing you also the signature jewel that you can create from the Fairy Forest box, and many of you have already posted pictures of your finished jewelry, and I absolutely love all the variations that you made. Also, for example, Aniko's beautiful, beautiful brooch. And now, before I would show you that big video, then tell me in a comment, please, what are you the most curious about regarding our tiny treasures? And while the video is running, then I will go through your questions and think about possible answers that if they are missing from the video, then I will try to answer them at the end. So please let me know, ladies, what are you the most curious about when it comes to bead making? In the meantime, Lita said that she loved beading the mirror wilt, and I'm really, really happy to hear that, dear Lita. I will also put the link on the screen if maybe someone couldn't find it yet. Also put it in the in the comment field and also on the screen. Lita is the most curious about how they make the super tiny shaped beads so perfectly. Let's see if we find out. That's such a good question, Lita. Do we have other questions? If not yet, then just let's watch the video together, and then in the meantime you can type in your questions and I will return to Lita's and everyone's questions at the very end. So lovely ladies, I hope you enjoyed watching this. And I think it's absolutely amazing when you see how the beads are pushed to these grinders when they get the facets. I still have another video for you about fire polishing to learn more about it. So there is still more coming. And what was absolutely amazing for me that to learn that even during these times when we imagine that beads should come from a laboratory environment and everything can be automatized, that it's actually not the case, that manual work still has its respect and sometimes it's very much needed, as the video told you about the glass rods at the beginning, for example, that the manually made glass rods are sometimes actually better for some special effects than the ones that are made by machines. Or it was super interesting for me to learn that when the glass is melting into the machine, then if there is a mistake, you can't stop it anymore. So you need to be super careful. So lovely ladies, please keep the questions coming, and also please tell me what did you find the most interesting from the video. And in the meantime, I will look at your questions from the comment fields. And Lita has a question: how they make the super tiny shaped beads so perfectly? So dear Lita, every shaped bead, it has a stamp. So that stamp is attached to the machine itself, and in a rhythmical movement, it cuts out the shape of the bead. So that is, on one hand, that is one factor that makes it possible that all the tiny beads are absolutely uniform, but also that so much knowledge harvested during these hundreds of years of experience are fed back into the process, that they note down everything. That, for example, how long do they push the beads to the faceting machine? How long a specific color or specific shape needs the tumbling when it makes the beads smooth after the initial procedure. So if those processes are all followed all the time in the same way, then that's how we can get uniform shapes and sizes. So in fact, while I mention that still so much handiwork and actually someone and multiple people touching the beads are required, but it's in fact the combination of like really people touching the beads and all this knowledge that needs to be applied. So I hope this answered your question. Sherry was wondering about the same, that how can they be so uniform, those tiny ones. And by the way, an interesting fact about the tiny beads. We had recently a discussion about it in the Beading School Club, that why can't we have tiny beads with bigger holes? But the big holes, they make the walls of the beads actually more prone to cracking. So if we increase the size of the hole, then there is less and less material in the bead itself. So then they start cracking. So we could pass more times through, for example, the true two beads, but then actually maybe we would be disappointed. So it's also part of the art to find what is making sense, what is still like enjoyable for us beaders. Sparrow has another question. I wonder how long it takes from beginning to end to make a bead. Dear Sparrow, that's also such a good question. And I don't have an exact answer. But if we take into account also the glass rods that are used in the factories, that are already coming from another factory, the long rods, then it can be even a year. So the factories who produce the glass rods, they sometimes have half a year, 1 year long waiting list. When a bead making factory is ordering a color, then sometimes they need that much time until they get the raw material. And of course, to make everything like super effective, they need to like collect that, okay, we have this color now finally, now we are going to make all the shapes that are interesting in this color. So that is like lots that there's a lot about like logistics behind the scene, but also the process itself. So it can't be hastened. So what I mentioned in the text in the video, for example, that if the glass is cooled down too fast, then it could produce cracks. So it needs to be done very, very carefully. Or also that the tumbling, it can go on for 1 day for a specific bead shape. So it really is sometimes weeks when in between like the starting point, when let's say the first glass rod is placed into the kiln, until the end when the beads are finally packed for us. It can be weeks until the bead gets its final shape. And Bernadette asks, how do they invent new shapes? Again, super nice question, dear Bernadette. So on one hand, we see all these shaped beads, but I have to say that sometimes it is an illusion that they are new shapes, because when it was possible for me to actually walk in the back offices of the factories, then they showed me that how many hundreds of clamps exist for shaping beads already. So sometimes what we think that those are new beads, they are actually just bring back shapes because they were forgotten or put aside for a while, but someone has an idea to go back to those libraries of old shapes and finds one like, this seems to be nice. So then that clamp or stamping is brought out to the daylight again. But indeed, there are also completely new shapes invented, and in those cases, usually multiple people are involved into the process. Usually multiple designers, for example, sometimes beadwork designers, and when a bead shape is made, then it involves lots of work from the viewpoint of the beadwork designer, that ideas, what would work well in a beaded motif. So that's where beadwork designers come into the game and can shape the future of bead making. Sparrow says, I love the glass rod, so colorful. And Bernadette says, how can they produce so many colors? So, dear Bernadette, all the colors are the result of mixing different kinds of minerals. And there are so many different minerals out there. And not only can you change, like now I use magnesium. Now I use a kind of a sulfate, but you can mix them and then change the ratios of those minerals. So that's why we can have so many colors. Imagine that you have like watercolors in front of you, maybe only just 6 colors, but imagine that you have a glass of water and then you drip two drops of the green, one of the yellow, and 2 of the purple. That results in one color of the glass of water. But then you just change it slightly. You just change it from 2 drops of green to 3 drops of green. Everything else is the same. Yet you will have another color. So that's why we can have so many beautiful colors. And that is only about the glass itself. But then on top of the glass comes the coating. So that again changes the color of the end result. Like when you see, for example, from Preciosa, that it's like crystal golden shadow, or crystal aurum, crystal labradorite. Then all these 3 colors and many more, they begin with the word crystal. And then you know that if you decided to break apart those beads, what you would see inside would be the transparent crystal color, but then the coatings, the full aurum, the golden shadow coating, the labrador coating come on top of it. So that's why they differ. And for example, regarding pressed glass beads or fire polished beads, there is, for example, this chalk white effect that I absolutely love. And then it can come in many different finishes: the mint green chalk white, the purple chalk white. So it can be everything still, even if it starts with the same base color. And that actually enabled the bead making factories the applying of coatings, different coatings, while working with the same base color. This had a really big impact on the wide selection of colors that we see now. Because in the past it was more about like coloring the bead itself, and sometimes they applied some coatings, but it was much rarer than nowadays. And now we have sometimes only one base color, but then 15 different coatings on top of it. And understandably, it makes the whole process much more efficient, work-wise, cost-wise. So this also had a big impact. Then Sherry is asking, how hot is that room where you are melting the rods? It's well ventilated, I'm sure. So indeed, there was ventilation, and of course, all the factories where we went, they really care for their work, for their colleagues. So they make it as easy to work in as possible. But I wouldn't say it is like an entirely comfortable environment. It is also heavy physical work that those people invest into our beauties. So we also need to think about this when we value our beads, and maybe even when we see a price tag, that someone is indeed working daily in that hot environment, so we can have our beauties. And Sparrow says, looks like that all depends on a few factors. Indeed, it's a whole big process of chemistry, not only one factor, but what I also mentioned in the video, that even the humidity of that specific day or the temperature affects what the end result will be. So it's a beautiful process in itself. And Cindy says, this is an amazing process, and how much work they put into it. Indeed. And Cindy asks, how many forms do they have to make? All these different forms and shapes of the beads. So, dear Cindy, each bead, each size has a separate form. So, for example, we went into a room where there were only the stamps and clamps that make the shaped beads, and every factory has a room full of these. So there are literally hundreds of possibilities. And Lita says, I have vintage beads from the 20s and 30s that are now being produced again. It's so much fun to see old beads in modern colors. Indeed, and it's so nice that you have those mementos from 100 years ago. It must be amazing to have them in your palm, dear Lita. And what a nice thought that the old shape and the new colors are kind of like joining those different generations of bead makers and beaters. And Sherry says, so much goes into our beads. It's amazing. And Linda says, lots of hard work. Indeed. And at this point, when all of our minds are on the bead making process to appreciate what the bead makers do for us daily, I would like to tell you about one of the gifts. Well, the other gift, one of the gifts was the big video that we prepared for you. And the other gift is that we would like to say thank you for all your interest and enthusiasm about these beautiful beads by gifting you the tutorial to Susie's Silvara bracelet. You can find it on the Beading School blog and also between the gift tutorials. If you follow this link, and I will also put in the link for you into the chat. The Susie says about Silvara. Silvara is a deity of nature, forests, and wildlife. She's also known as a guardian of the ancient trees. She can communicate with trees, hearing their wisdom and guiding lost travelers. She is described as elegant and tall with emerald green eyes. I think the name matches this bracelet design perfectly. And I think Susie chose a beautiful name. And together with Susie and the whole Beading School team, like, don't go away, I will continue, but we would like to wish you lots of happy moments beading Silvara. And in the meantime, we have more questions. So, one moment. Aniko asks, is there any difference in the methods of applying different coatings like AB coating or chalk whites? So the coating part is something that we could not see with our own eyes actually, because it involves chemicals. So for that part we couldn't go to the factory, but it involves again like different kinds of minerals that are then kind of attached, like using high temperature. The beads are coated by these minerals. And Linda asks, when they discontinue, do they keep the forms so they can make them again later? Indeed, like, forms are actually on one hand pricey, and I think it wouldn't make a sense to just throw them away. So they do keep the shapes. And Bernadette says, the whole process is amazing. I have so many questions and I could talk about them all day. Thank you, Erika, for showing us this. Bernadette, I'm so happy that you find this valuable, and we will actually post the whole video also separately. And please share it with your beading friends so everyone can learn. And it will be available shortly on our YouTube channel and also on our Facebook page. Corinne is also here. And Sparrow says about Susie's design, I absolutely love this bracelet. Thank you, Susie, for creating it and sharing with us. Linda asks, is there a book on the process of bead making? And Linda, I believe there are many. And actually, we had also a little booklet about the Preciosa crystal history. But yeah, there are different books available. I don't know a specific one that I would recommend. What I told you about and what I wrote about in the subtitles in the video, that I learned in the Crystal Valley by asking questions, being there, taking notes, making videos. So that's how I could put together the knowledge for you. And Cindy says, the bracelet is so beautiful, and thank you so much, Susie. I still have another video for you ladies talking about coatings. This will be super interesting for you. It doesn't only involve the coating, but the process of fire polishing. Because when the pressed beads are made, they come out of the stems, then they are tumbled, the extra material is removed, but from a smooth round bead, we can still have the faceted fire polished bead that we all love so much. That's when the guy Alesh was pushing the beads to the grinder, for example, and then to create the facets, but then also the beads need an extra round in the kiln to melt the surface and give them shine. And I could actually try this part of the process. It's not easy. None of this is easy, actually. And we have a little video about that too. So as you could see, the beads traveled on a moving part and went into the fire again. So to heat it up to a high temperature to get their shine. And the trays where they go, it requires a specific paste made of minerals so they don't stick together. And at the end, you have to like shake them off from the tray. So still there is a lot to do, and you need to do it in a specific way. Sorry, to really achieve the result that you would like to have. And I absolutely love Czech glass beads. The shapes, they just kickstart my imagination. The colors are, I find so many colors that speak to me. And also just this extra insight that we could have with Andrea and now also together with all of you. It just really adds something that is not visible at the first sight. And each and every time when I design for you a Beading School Academy theme box, then of course I also love including different kinds of of shaped beads. And this time in the fairy forest box, we had, for example, the arrow beads that Laura included in the jewel that's going to be your second signature jewel. And since today we are talking about the shaped glass beads and fire polished beads from the Czech Republic, then my dear colleagues were also in the background working with arrow beads. So now you can have the arrows in many, many different colors. I already see them in the bead shop, for example, in the chalk white series that we talked about. Then I also see metallic eyes, marine metallic eyes, olive metallic eyes. I also see some metallic finishes, including my favorite bronze one. So there are lots of possibilities now to make Laura's jewel and also some other ones from this collection in different colors. We also are working this time with the lotus beads, and I absolutely loved this story of Ruxandra that she wrote about this earring that she created for you. This is going to be the one of the No One Has to Bead Alone designs that we can bead together. And now also these are available in different colors, but I'm afraid I got a bad link, so let me look it up for you. Just a moment. And post the right ones. Okay, I can't find them for some reason, but you will always be able to find these between the new in the bead shop category. And I will return to your super nice questions in a little time, but I would also like to mention that if the beads, they don't go through the faceting process and they are made in the perfectly round shape, then this can also be the result of the bead making from the Czech Republic. So it's not always fancy shape, but we also have the beautiful, smooth, round shapes that we use in 2, 3, 4, sometimes even 6 or 8 millimeter size. And many of you were asking for more bundles from the glass beads. The glass beads that we have added recently in the holiday collection and the spring collection, and also in the gemstone collection, they are of super nice quality. They come from a factory that is equal to the biggest brands in quality, but they make so many more different shades. Susie said that her favorite is the Himalayan salt, and one of my favorites is the silver blue, for example. And now both of these are available in bundles based on the colors. And friendly warning, ladies, that there was some acquisition. We learned this behind the scenes, that there was some acquisition going on regarding this factory. And these are the last weeks when we could actually place orders with them for their full arrangement full assortment of colors, and for the price that we could enjoy during the past weeks. So lovely ladies, if you like these smooth, beautiful glass pearls in the gemstone collection and the spring collection and the holiday collection, then please go for them, because very, very probably we will not be able to restock them anymore, and certainly not for the price that we had before. The ladies from the Treasury, they even created a bundle from the spring and the holiday colors, and if you go for both of them, then you will receive the Rembrandt necklace tutorial where you can use lots of 6mm pearls as a gift on top of it. So please pay attention to these glass pearls, because I think many of us will be crying when we use up the last of them. And I see in the meantime new comments, and I would love to read those. And Erika is asking if YouTube is working. Indeed, it should be okay. And Sharon says, hello everyone, I'm late, signed in earlier, but there was no broadcast, so I thought there would not be one today, and got caught up in something else. Dear Sharon, luckily you can watch the beginning from the recording again, and so nice that you checked in even if later. And Susie was also here. And Linda says about Rembrandt that she beaded it in several colors, actually. So lovely ladies, this is what I wanted to share with you today, and a bit more information. So on Thursday, we will have a retro, no one has to bead alone. It means that we will bead an older design using the new Fairy Forest Beading School Academy theme box. And we will share with you the recording from actually it was the Magic Garden, the very first Beading School Academy box when I designed the dragonfly body. So we will share with you the recording from that. That is actually the day that ended up being the day of my surgery. So I'm so happy that we have the recording for you, and please, please, please keep posting your beautiful pictures in the club. It will make me so happy if I can scroll through many, many pictures when I wake up and when I will be regaining my strength. There will also be a storytelling coming soon. And the storytelling, oh my God, let me look up Susie's message to me to make sure that I have everything all right. Just a moment. So there is storytelling coming, and you know that with every Beading School Academy team, we are creating a little word on your bead mats. So it's not only about tutorials, it's not only about the beads, but so much more. And every 2 months, we also have a storytelling night when a professional storyteller, Chenge, brings you a bunch of stories and legends connected to the source of inspiration that we are working with. And the storytelling night connected to the Fairy Forest team is coming indeed already now on Saturday, 29th of March. And the time is 6 p.m. Central European Time, 1 p.m. New York City, 10 a.m. California, or 6 a.m. New Zealand. If you are a Beading School Academy student for the current team, then you can watch it in real time together with your fellow students. You will also be able to watch the recording. And if you are not, then you can purchase it separately, the access to the storytelling night, also the older ones. And Beatrix says, I hope I will not miss the storytelling. Last time it was my first and it was so beautiful. I'm so glad that you liked it, dear Beatrix. And if you missed a storytelling from a team where you were a student, then you can navigate back in the academy to that team and find the recording, or just ask about please in the club or at info@beadingschool.com and we will help you finding it. It's a wonderful way of entertaining you when you are beading, for example. So lovely ladies, thank you so much for joining me today for this beady education coffee time with Erika. And thank you so much for all your questions, for your lovely comments, and for loving the Fairy Forest team. Please enjoy beading Silvara, enjoy beading Mia Ruilt, and indeed, let's believe that there are miracles in life if we are steadily working to make them happen. Thank you, lovely ladies. Take care and happy beading.